Hello, friends. Welcome to Creative Compass. We are navigating the journey back to our inner artist. This week, we've been talking with artists and creative teachers and coaches and guides who are sharing with us their personal journeys of finding their own paths to their creative lives and some of the wisdom that they have learned along the way. So today we are talking to Deborah Epstein. Deborah is a visionary artist, a shamanic practitioner, an MFR therapist, and spiritual creativity guide. Deborah works in the creative, healing, and shamanic arts. She supports women to connect with their spiritual gifts, find their creative voices, and thrive in creating a life of their dreams. Deborah currently offers one-on-one and group spiritual creativity guidance and mentoring sessions, and also offers unique private one-on-one healing retreats utilizing creative expression, shamanic ceremony, and MFR therapy in Sedona, Arizona. Her newest project is the Cosmic Dreaming Lodge, a place to heal, dream, and create. Welcome, Deborah. It's so nice to have you today.
Thank you, Amy, for having me. It's really nice to be here.
Great. So, Deborah, to get started, I've been asking the artists to share. Now, your work involves a lot of different things, spirituality and creativity and healing. You work in a lot of different modalities. And I would love to hear a little bit about the journey for you finding each of those gifts and ultimately combining them to make this business that you have.
Yeah, so it's a lifelong adventure.
Sure.
And when I was moving through it, of course, you don't always have the gift of being able to see that far down the road. So you don't know like what all this stuff means. But when you have the retrospect, the 2020 and hindsight, looking at the past, and you can see the through line and you can see how much it all made sense. So, I was always creative. I was always the daydreamer in the back of the room, had a hard time in school because I was such a daydreamer and artist at heart. I also had grown up with a lot of trauma. I was very accident prone. I had an abusive family situation that I was living in. So that's, piece one. And then coupled with being an artist and then also being out of my body a lot because of all the abuse and stuff going on and drama. Everything was just really elevated. And so I was always in fight or flight as a little kid. And so I was really out of my body. So like the accident prone was kind of coupled with that. So that kind of set me up for the path I was to take later. So it was like I was finding my healing journey. Art was always a thing that I turned to be able to express myself, writing and journaling and all that kind of stuff. It was, I think, how I kept my sanity and all the craziness as I was growing up. And so it was just always there. And I was always creating, sewing, quilting, all kinds of stuff. Like my hands were always busy. And so as I got to a certain point in life where everything kind of, all of life kind of piled up. And I was just about to turn 40. I'd gone to art school. I was working as an artist, painting and showing my work, and also working in a coffee shop just to get out of the house. I had 2 kids at the time that were younger, like, let's see, how old were they? They were like teenagers, like preteen teenagers. And it was just, was like hitting a brick wall in my life. So I started seeing a therapist who was doing core belief work. And what we would do is we'd take my artwork and she'd look at it and kind of like, we talk about it. We kind of process the emotions that were coming through. And then we'd work on the core beliefs that were kind of underlying all of that. And then I ended up having a lot of big changes because of that. But that was also what started to open up the pathway of like making that connection, like art and healing, like how art, my art was healing me in a sense of, it was giving me a place to vent. It was giving me a place to express emotions and say things I couldn't say to anyone else as I was going through them. Because sometimes it's too hard to do that. So it was a way of like getting those emotions to move. And then when I started going through my own process of healing is when I really realized like, this is like what I want to be doing. I want to be helping others move through this with these tools. So that kind of started my journey of going to school. I went to Salve Regina to learn expressive art and healing together. And I was taking every energy work class I could take, and, Reiki and theta healing and all kinds of different energy modalities. And I started to realize as I was working, it's like, I've got to get in the body. It's all about the body. The body holds a lot too. This is our vehicle of expression as well. And things manifest in our body. If we're not expressing the energy outward, we're expressing it inward. And I also at the time too had a ton of pain in my body that wasn't being addressed. So I ended up going to massage school to get my license to touch. And then I found myofascial release. And myofascial release is a type of body work that really connects just all of those modalities, because it looks at the body not just as a machine that you rub or pull or whatever. It's an intricate web of connective tissue. That's the fascia, and it connects every cell to every other cell, and it's like every organ and system and all that kind of stuff. It's like the cosmic web that's in your body, and it's three-dimensional. It's head to toe. There's not one place in your body, and I mean not one place in your body, that doesn't have that web-like structure. So it's brilliant to me. And when I took my first class, I was blown away, because here's this guy, his name's John Barnes, talking about and connecting all of the concepts that I learned separately in different places. And I was like, this is amazing. It's like, not only is the fascia itself a connective tissue that connects everything, but like the study of myofascial release is like connects all modalities together, even shamanic journeying and all that kind of stuff. It's what turned me on to shamanism too, because you get to a certain point of working and going through your healing journey as a therapist that you just, it's that path inward that we want to keep going in and going in and going in. And so where I am now on that pathway is, I've gone in and done all the healing and, movement and stuff like that. And myofascial release is also like it's a physical therapy modality. And I moved out to Sedona actually to work in the clinic for John Barnes, which is a physical therapy clinic. And in physical therapy, traditional physical therapy, a physical therapist's job is to take the person who is dysfunctional or has had an accident or has had a trauma and move them from the trauma, from the accident, from all of this, the dysfunction, and get them back to living again, get them back to moving again. And so I started to discover like, oh, this is the same thing that I'm doing with women right now, is getting out of the trauma story, getting out of the not enough, hiding, playing small, not, I'm going to say not enough. That's just so big. And all of those other go-to excuses as to why we're not creating and moving in the world. Because it's, for healers especially, it's so much easier to go back in and find out what's wrong. I'm feeling, like this is scary stuff when you're playing a bigger game, when you're starting to put yourself out there, when you want, you have this desire for people to see your artwork, and art is meant to be shown. I remember way back in art school, one of my teachers like even kind of posed the question, is art if it's never seen? It's almost kind of like if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it kind of question, right? And his thought was that like, if it's to be art, then it needs to be seen, because part of the job of art, another one of the jobs that art has, is that it's interactive. It also can shift consciousness. It changes how we think about the world. It changes how we see the world. There's an artist who, his name is Earl Hubbard. He was married to Barbara Marx Hubbard. And his whole way of working, or what he was after in his art, was to create a new vision for humanity, like a new icon, or, and how we see ourselves, because a culture needs to have a vision of where it's going in order to get there. And as you know, where we are right now is like, we can't agree on anything. So we
Mhm.
have no vision. So I really think that the job of the visionary artist and healer is really to start to guide and direct where we're headed as a collective, or at least to help shift it enough to wake up people's imagination, to get them moving, to get them dreaming again, where we are stuck in, basically we're stuck in a trauma in this country, in
Mhm.
this world. And when you're stuck in trauma, you're stuck in fight or flight. And that's what the programming of fear is basically coming from our own fight or flight mechanisms. So it takes a lot of energy to shift that, to shift that direction from, oh my God, this is so scary, and feeling the fear and then shutting yourself down, because it really sucks to feel fear. And pardon my language on that, but it does. But if you can get yourself into courage versus fear, courage doesn't mean you don't feel fear. Courage just means you have the ability to feel it and keep going. And knowing that there's no bear chasing you, that you're safe, and you just check, you check your immediate environment, and what are you afraid of? Is it like, are you being asked to play a bigger game and it's scary? Is it the money thing? The money conversation is always the biggest one, right? I know for me, I didn't let it stop me, but when I would have my most of my fear when I was moving into something was, oh, I don't know if I can afford this. I don't know if I can do this. I don't, and my husband is really great because he knows that about me. So he would just say, no, we're fine. We're fine. So there's a lot to this. And it's funny because like when we talked before we did the interview, I was in a phase of what I was writing about and kind of diving into is the fear of playing small and hiding.
Mhm.
And I was kind of feeling too at that time that some of my job was like Glinda the Good Witch, and I kept having this image in my head of wake up, wherever you are. Do you remember we had that conversation?
Yes. Mhm.
And I feel like that's part of our job too, is to really kind of, create a safe space for women, especially to be able to come in and recognize, yeah, this is scary stuff, we know, and I'm no different. I went through it too, and I can tell stories about, feeling like I was going up against the firing line the first time I did a Facebook Live, but you do it and then you go, oh, that didn't kill me, and then you go, that was kind of a little bit fun, like what else can I do? And then when you start getting into like, okay, I'm not going to die, or I didn't, nobody killed me, nobody said anything bad about it, actually people put nice stuff, and liked it. And so then it's like, okay, that's good. Like, oh, well, let's do it again. And then your creativity can start kicking in because your fear is a little less. And so when your fear is a little bit less, then you can your brain will actually allow you to creatively think. And then you get to have a little bit more fun with it. And then you start building successes in the opposite direction. Not to say that it doesn't ever come back, that fear. But I'd have to say that the more I do this and the more, it's almost like you're desensitizing yourself to your fear. And the more that you keep doing it, the fear doesn't feel as bad. It's not as debilitating.
Yeah, I know I identify with that. I was an art hider for a long time. I'm sure lots of our viewers are going to identify with many different parts of what you just shared. And I love how you started out by saying that, you don't always have the big picture when you're traveling along the way, and then suddenly like it comes together and you're like, right, all of these things were leading me here to this to this place. And so you touched on this a little already. We're talking about hiding our creative gifts, hiding our art, all of that. Why do you think so many of us still feel like we have to hide those creative gifts and hide our art?
I think that's a very hard question to answer because I think it's very much individually. So all I can really say is, for me personally, I do have that within me, that tendency to hide. And for me, it was born out of my trauma because it was a trick I learned. If I stayed out of the way, if I stayed hidden, I didn't get hit, or, I just didn't get noticed. But what was really interesting about that is like, it's a very great survival tactic. So I would just like encourage whoever's watching this to just kind of go in and ask, is this a survival tactic that you used when you were a little kid? You know, if you got in trouble a lot, like just think about, like, it's funny, I go back to school. For me, that was really a traumatic experience because, you know, back when I was in school, teachers were allowed to like lay their hands on you. You know, they could hit you, they could pull your ears, they could like threaten you. And I got all of that, you know, for not doing my work. And, you know, I really feel like they could work better with kids. And I don't know if they're doing that better now, but I know when my kids went to school, it was better than when I went to school, but there was still like the linear training is just more heavy than the artistic and creative side training. So if you're a creative, you tend to be more empathetic, you tend to be more sensitive, and the world's a scary place and can be a scary place. So hiding is a great tactic to keep you safe. You know, think about the bunny rabbit, you know, as like a totem animal, you know, and it's not that the bunny's running around in fear. The bunny just knows it's frickin' prey, and that it's gonna get it if it doesn't learn how to get invisible and how to hide and how to, you know, do all of that magical stuff that bunnies do. So it doesn't mean like, oh, you're full of fear. It's a great survival mechanism, and but then as we get older, it's so ingrained as it's a belief system that is part of our operating system, and it's in our brain. It's part of our trauma brain. And so we're pretty much hardwired to keep ourselves safe. So the work then becomes, how do I shift this? How do I shift this fear? How do I shift this need to hide? And like, you really have to work with that part of you. And that's where the shamanic work comes in, I believe, is doing the journey work. And it's also it's in the body too. You can release it through the body, and you can release it through art. And why I use all those modalities is because you're getting it on multi-dimensional levels. And we're really not linear. We're very fractal in nature. We're not just a separate physical structure. We're intimately connected with our spirit and our soul and our emotional body as well. So it's all woven together as one. So it's like, if you have an effect one place, you're going to have an effect another place. So it's that connected. So a lot of people who are living in fear are also feeling pain, you know, in their body. And sometimes the pain is, you know, creates a depression feeling, you know, because they're not able to live out what they're here to do. I believe we all have a purpose. We all have a reason for being here. And if we're not expressing that out in the world, it can back up. Everything's energy, you know, everything's energy. So it's really, to me, it's really quite a passion to help people unlock that and free them up, whether they're doing art or not, you know, but free yourself up so that you can be the expression in the world. You are the art. That's my whole thing, is life is art and you're the art, you know. We're constantly unfolding and transforming.
Awesome. Yes. So Deborah, I know you're a spiritual creativity guide. For people who that might be a new concept to, for you personally, where is the overlap between spirituality and creativity? Why do those two things go together?
Well, they go together because there's no separation. And so like, even your question is interesting to me, because it's a question that comes from a belief system that everything is separate. And there is no separation anywhere. We're all one, of one mind. And how you frame that for yourself is just how you frame it. It's how you express in the world. So to me, there's no right or wrong in that. I just see as if I look at it, it's like a continuation of a web. And so there's no separation between our body, how our body expresses, how we express as spirit made matter, and how we create art. There's just no separation there. So to me, it makes perfect sense that they're doorways that you can go through to get to the same place, which is you. It's unlocking you from your own prison, basically.
Awesome. Okay, Deborah, I know you have a practice that you're going to share with us. Would you like to tell us a little about that now?
Yeah, so we're gonna, because we're talking a lot about hiding, we're talking a lot about fear, and how art, spirituality, and physical, these are the three places where I work, kind of interweave. We're going to do a little exercise around all of that. So I'm going to guide us in a little bit of a meditation, but it's going to be a meditation that you're going to feel in your body. So I'm going to direct your attention into your body. And then what we're going to do is we're going to express on paper. And this is what some people have a lot of fear of putting things down on paper. And sometimes that's the biggest hurdle. So what I love to say is we're not making art, we're expressing, we're using color to express. It's just another language. So you could express sadness with English, if that's your major language, or you could express sadness or whatever emotion in a made up language, like blah, 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 blah. You know, so it's just how you want to do it. You can sing a song if you want to and express through music. So it's just a modality. It's just a modality to move your emotions through. So when you look at different colors, you know, different colors make you feel different things. You can get a color chart and you can get like someone else's interpretation of what yellow means and what red means. But what I like to do is encourage people to feel color for themselves. So like I'm looking at the painting behind you, and what's lighting me up about it is that teal color into the purple color. And I'm like, oh, that's so good. It makes me feel good to look at those colors. So we all have our different relationships with color. So what we want to do is we want to tap in, we're going to tap into our sense of feel, but we're going to go in through, we're going to find that place that part of us that likes to hide. And I kind of think that might be universal for artists, especially if because there's imposter syndrome is a reason people like to hide. I don't have the right training, you know, and here's something that my shamanic teacher says is we have to let that go, because the state the world is in right now, we don't have time to mess around with getting the proper credentials before you do your work in the world. If you're meant to get a credential, trust me, the path will be opened for you to get it, but you need to start moving now. It's get up and start moving and start creating, and then the rest will sort itself out. It just does. So that's where we're going to head. Do you want me to shift my camera to the overhead camera for now, and then I'll guide us in the meditation. Are you ready for me to start going?
I'm ready.
Okay. So what I like to do is connect with the paper. And so if you guys have your art supplies handy, this is great. If you don't, just hit pause and get yourself set up with paints or water soluble markers, crayons, whatever you have. I'll probably use a bunch of different things. So actually, I think what we're going to do for this one is I'm going to use some water soluble colored pencils. I have a bunch here. So I don't know what color I'm going to use yet. That's going to be dependent upon what I see in the meditation and what wants to come up. So what we'll probably do is on the paper, just write a couple of words, and then we'll wash them away. So, and then, or create from them. I think I like the idea of creating from them. So I tend to work in the moment. So this is an unfolding process. So wherever I think we're going to go may change as we get there, because spirit is always in the moment. And I love to be in the moment. So let's just close our eyes. And what you're going to do first is just feel the surface under you. Feel how you're being supported. Notice if there's any tension or resistance to the surface that you're on. And this is really interesting. Sometimes people's bodies work really hard to hold themselves upright. So what you really want to do is feel the surface, the chair, the ground, wherever you're sitting. And just start breathing and softening your body, letting your body be held. And it's a slow process. So just keep allowing for that process of softening. And then what we're going to do is we're going to connect to the earth. The earth is our mother. It's where we live. And she sustains us. So connecting in with that life-sustaining force, and I call her Pachamama, Mother Earth. Feeling your oneness and connection. Part of a whole system of beings that live on the planet. I'm sinking deeper and deeper into that connection, feeling your body and allowing the energy of Pachamama to come through your feet and lower legs and upper legs and into your pelvis, softening even more and allowing this earth energy to rise and fill your body, filling your belly, your lower back, solar plexus, diaphragm, rib cage, thoracic spine, heart center, shoulders, chest, arms, hands and fingers, throat, neck, cervical spine, jaw, let your jaw relax. Up into your head, relaxing your eyes. Allowing your third eye to open. Bringing awareness to the top of your head and allowing your crown to open. And just allowing the light that's above your head, your connection to the universe, the all, the cosmos, whatever your name for that is, just allow that to come through your crown as light. Letting it spiral down through your crown, through your third eye, through your throat and heart, solar plexus, sacral chakra, and root, and then bring it right down into the earth, spiral it right down into the earth, and let this cosmic creative energy flow through you and flow into the earth. And now, what I want you to do is just pay attention to your hands and allow this energy to connect in with the paper. So I put my hands usually right on the paper. And so now we're connected. And what I want you to do, if you work with power animals or spirit animals, or you have guides or angels, just allow them to come forward. And if this is a new thing for you, if this feels okay and right for you to do, just allow to come into your imagination a spirit guide or angel that wants to work with you right now. And just feel the support of this guide. What we're going to do is we want to tap into that part of ourselves that likes to play small, that likes to hide. And maybe you don't like that it does that. And so maybe likes to isn't a good word for you. But if it's coming through like you're frustrated with that part of you, or it makes you mad, whatever the feeling is, or it makes you sad or depressed, and it's almost like a feeling of you just can't get out of your own way, or the fear of being seen, if you look at it the opposite way. So whatever it is for you, just feel what it is, and feel where it is in your body. So some people are going to say their head. So if you say you feel it in your head, I want you to think about it in this way. Is this just your story that you're telling, that you're keeping alive? Are you living your story? And if you're living your story, how does it express through your body? So keep coming into your body. And ask your guide to help you feel where it is. So most of us don't like to feel fear. So that keeps us up in our head. So I want you to know right now, wherever you are safe. Check your surroundings if you need to. Open your eyes and look around the room. Did you create safety for yourself? There's no tigers or no gorillas or anything else that's gonna attack you right now. So we want to just calm that part of our nervous system down, that fight or flight. And we really want to get to the heart of the fear that your body's holding. And what we're going to do is we're going to give it some breath. So the interesting thing about fear in our body is sometimes if you give it some breath, it starts to feel like excitement. It feels like it's powering you up. So let's keep giving it our breath. And as we're doing this and breathing, notice if there's any color that's coming to mind, whatever your imagination suggests. You may see it, you may think of it by name. You may not see anything, you may just get a sense. And when you open your eyes and look at your colors, you may just be attracted to one of those colors. So just trust whatever process is for you. And I can share that I've experienced it many different ways. There's never been one way that I'm always going to. So it's just being open for possibility and allowing the information to come in color form. And when you're ready, I want you to open your eyes, and I'm gonna just kind of dump my colored pencils out and see. It's really funny because this is actually the color I had in my head. It was like this magenta color, and also this yellow, and that was the one that popped up. So this is how magical the stuff can be. So your subconscious is always trying to give you clues and hints and stuff like that. So start paying attention to things you notice during the day, and what is the world saying to you? What is your outer world expressing to you from your inner world? So what we're going to do is, when you have your color, is you can either write some words about what your fear experience felt like, or you could just draw a picture. So what I want to do is I just want to scribble with this color. I just want to scribble with this color, and I'm not really sure that I have any words right now. But if you're feeling what it feels like to hide, and you don't like it. What else of an emotion is there? Is there anger? And how does that anger want to express? Because anger is really interesting too. It's something that we've been taught to not feel, because a lot of us got in trouble for feeling anger. But when you think about it, like think about explosive anger and how when you've been compressed, you're hiding, you're really wanting to get out into the world, it might take that like, to get yourself going. So let yourself express however you need to express. So I'm just going to grab some water right now, and I'm just going to start to work these colors. And I also have some pressed color here. So this is some gouache that I'll be kind of bringing in too. And then I also have some pens. So I tend to work in a lot of different mixed media. And Aimee, I just want to say I'm not keeping track of the time. So if I start going over, let me know. Aimee will be our timekeeper. This is the other thing, is when you're in this space, time is it just eludes, it evaporates, it washes away. And this is why I love doing this, So how are you doing over there, Aimee?
I'm doing good. I'm working with a pencil because that's what I have. So I'm getting some images and some words.
Awesome. So I'm going to start just kind of working some other color, going for the reds today. So this is interesting. So I'm just going to work up some color and see. I let everything happen. I am not careful. I love getting messy. Healing is messy. We have to let go of control. That's why I do the work that I do. We're not making art, and you can say we're making a mess. We can clean up later. We can clean it up later. So I'm going to actually let's see if I can turn my paper and fit that all in the screen. Yeah, it looks like it's in there. So I'm really liking this. I'm going to use let's see if I can get some of this marker to work. And so what you can do with this too is, once you've expressed your fear, is you can start to work on transmuting it or transforming it. And so once you kind of do that and you feel good about what you've expressed, you can start slowing it down a little bit. So what I like to do is I like to pull out shapes that I see. This is making me feel like a field, like it looks like a field of flowers, and it's just the way I scribbled. So and then when I turned it, it's like these are all the stems. So I'm just going to enhance that. And also, if you're doing something that requires motion, feel your whole body as you're moving. Notice how your whole body is expressing right now, expressing shapes and colors. And so I'm popping out some circles. I love circles and lines. And it's very whimsical, right? So start tapping into your sense of whimsy. And notice how you feel right now. Notice what your body's feeling. Are you still feeling the fear or the anxiety or the anger even? Has that shifted at all? What are you noticing? And this is always a good practice too, to journal after. So you can get in touch with your feelings. So our feelings also help us manifest in the world. They're the drivers of what we create and how we create and what comes back to us, what gets reflected back to us in the world. So getting intelligent with our emotions is a great thing. How are we doing on time? So I feel like I'm at a good stopping point.
Sure. Yep.
And there we go. And there we're back.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Deborah. That was such a powerful meditation and such a cool process for moving through that fear. I definitely felt that.
Yeah. What do you mind showing what you did, or do you
Yeah,
want to talk
so
about yours
I
a
was
little
just
bit?
working with a pencil. So anyone out there, if you don't have art supplies, just grab a pencil, work with what you have. And I had like a form. A lot of my art is in form. I had like a woman in my place in my body that came through was in my throat, and it was related
Okay,
to my
cool.
voice.
Hmm.
And so then I had some words where I was just expressing where that fear, giving some words to that fear related to my voice. And um, then there was like another voice that came through to, sort of tell me that those fears were all lies and that my voice was healing and that I needed to use my voice in the world.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, and this is the stuff. So now you've discovered that, and I kind of hear a question bubbling up in my mind of someone who's not so skeptical, but someone that may be really, really stuck. Like, oh, that's well and good. You made some art around it. How do you keep going? Like, how do you do that? You know, it's easy. It's one thing to say, like, oh yeah, I discovered where my fear is hiding, and like these are the things, and it's a lie. What I would say to you,
Mhm.
take a step. Take the first step. What is your heart telling you to do? If it's really scary, then that's the right step. And then it's up to you to feel the fear. And really, you have to walk yourself through it. And I can say I've walked myself through many, many places where I was feeling fear in my life. One in particular that is coming screaming into my mind right now was the first time I flew by myself in an airplane.
Mm.
And it's so funny because I'm a mom, I'm a grown woman, and it's like if I had my kids with me, it would be such a different story. Like I can be mom to them, but like I'm by myself and I'm like having panic attacks about flying by myself. And it's so funny. It's like, what did I think was going to happen? That's the funny thing of fear, is it's irrational. It doesn't make sense. It's false evidence appearing real. Or forget everything and run. Right? So you're not in your right mind when you're letting the fear overtake you. So what you want to do is you want to make friends with your fear. If it's living with you anyway, if it's one of your drivers, the more you start to come into friendship with it and start to I befriend everything, then you can start to work with it. You don't want to say shut up. Like think about yourself when you were a little kid and you were maybe scared about something, an adult didn't honor that, and made you feel less than because of it. So we have belief systems stacked on belief systems stacked on belief systems. So what we get to do right now as adults is we get to reparent ourselves, and we get to walk ourselves through our fear. And you can use art to do that. You can use journaling to do that. But the best thing that you can do is to start moving.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all of that wisdom, Deborah. That
You're
was so
welcome.
valuable. And I'm sure all of our viewers got a lot of value out of that. And Deborah, thank you so much for being here with us today, for sharing your journey, for sharing your wisdom, and for sharing that beautiful art practice.
Oh, you're so very welcome. And it was my pleasure.
Thank you. And to our viewers, thank you for watching. And make sure to check your inbox tomorrow for more great interviews. Bye now.